the Grade 1 Breeders Cup Distaff, a race run to crown the older filly and mares going 1 mile and an eighth on the dirt. 13 contenders are lining up in the starting gate. Do you know those angles and hidden edges to help you find a winner? Facts and figures are going to give you the winning edge. I give you the stats, you make the picks. Hi, it's Maura from Trifecta and a little bit extra, and we are talking everything distaff, the angles, the hidden edges, and then we're going to go contender by contender and compare every horse to those angles. But before we get started, let me say this. Horse betting is not legal in every state, so if you're betting, make sure it's legal. Now on to those angles. Looking back at the last 20 historical runnings of the distaff, there were a few trends that really jumped out at me. Over 80% of the winners had these things in common. First, a win at the 1 mile and an eighth distance or longer. Second, at least one Grade 1 win, meaning when they competed at the top of the top levels, they won at least one time. In addition to that class element, they've come in the money, just meaning first, second, or third, in their Grade 1 races at least 80% of the time, meaning they consistently show up in these high quality races. Now, another angle is they prepped in a Grade 1 race and came in first or second. Now, does that mean that a horse that doesn't meet these angles can't win the distaff? Oh no, I didn't say 100%, I said over 80%. But I like to use these angles to evaluate each contender and narrow that playing field down, which we're going to do in just a minute when we go contender by contender. But before we do that, there's just one other thing I want to note, and that is running style. Now, we do know that the Breeders' Cup is held at many different tracks, so it's really hard to evaluate a winning running style unless we look at the 3 just held at Del Mar. And when we do that, we see 3 different running styles. Torpedo Anna, gate to wire winner. And then in 2021, the Japanese runner Marshall Lorraine, she was a closer. And in 2017, we had Forever Unbridled, 4 lengths off of the leader at the half pole. So 3 different running styles. But there is something I really want to note. When a horse came off the pace, whether it was here at Del Mar or any other track, I saw in the notes that many times those horses had to go wide. They had to circle around that wall of horses in front of them. So I'm going to upgrade horses that I know are coming off the pace, can go wide and still get that distance. Now on to each contender. The number 1 horse is Nitrogen. Now this is a horse that I see as a serious contender for the race. She's a 3-year-old, so lots of upside. Trained by Mark Casse, she'll be ridden by Jose Ortiz. 11 starts with 6 wins, 3 places in 2 shows. Always on the board, and this filly is hitting all the angles I like to see. 3 races at 1 mile and an eighth or longer, winning 1 and coming in second in the 2 others, one being the Belmont Oaks Invitational on the turf. Now, she won the G1 Alabama at Saratoga going 1 mile and a quarter on the dirt. And that Alabama race gives her a Grade 1 win. She's tried the Grade 1 races 5 times and has been in the money 100%. She's only a 3-year-old. That is insane. Her prep race was a Grade 1 race, the Spinster, a key prep race for the distaff, and she came in second to Jin Jin. Now, I don't like the note said she hung. That means that the jockey gave her a cue and she didn't move forward, but I'm going to forgive her for that effort. This girl, she's really, really classy. Out of her 11 starts, 9 are graded stakes races. In addition, she's a 3-year-old with a top buyer in the mid-90s, so she can really improve. Now, what really solidified this for me was her running style. She likes to stalk the leader, and if she has to go wide, she has proven she could go wide and finish well. For me, solid contender. I just wish she didn't draw post position 1. The number 2 horse is Sarawak Rim, a 4-year-old from Argentina making her U.S. debut for Ignacio Correas. Now, Ignacio Correas won this race with another Argentina filly in 2019 Blue Prize, and he's going to be retiring after the Breeders' Cup. Now, she's going to be ridden by Irad Ortiz. Now, you have to look at her because there are so many unknowns. She has won 4 of her 5 races and placing in the other, so always in the exacta. But do we really know the quality of the horses she beat? The layoff is longer than normal with her last race May 1st, but she's been training at Keeneland and it looks like she's been training really well. Now, she matches the distance angle with 3 at the longer distance. She won at this distance by, get this, 6 lengths. But then again, we really don't know who she beat. She also won and placed at the 1.25 mile distance. One of those races was a G1, her prep race, so she gets the class angles. With all the wins, the distance experience, the 1 G1 win, and Irad aboard, and her trainer, you just have to respect her. But there's some unknowns, so it's hard to say, does she really fit in here? The number 3 horse is Clicquot, one of the more lightly raced horses in the field, which could be both good or bad. Good in that she's got a lot of upside, and bad in that she may not have some of the experience of the other runners. Now, she's a 3-year-old trained by Brendan Walsh and will be ridden by Flavien Prat. 5 starts with an impressive 4 wins, and her only loss was her maiden race going 7 furlongs at Gulfstream in March. Now, since then, she's won a maiden race, an allowance race, the G3 Indian Oaks at Horseshoe Indy, and the Grade 1 Cotillion at Parks in September. So she does have that Grade 1 win, and since she's only had one Grade 1 and she won it, 100% in the money. But just realize she's a bit light on class. So over the last 20 years, the Cotillion has given us 3 winners: Torpedo Anna, Monomoy Girl, and Untappable. Now in the Cotillion, I like the fact she was really patient, and then she made this really big, powerful surge at the end, holding off dry powder. She also beat some talented fillies that day, La Cara and our Kentucky Oaks winner Good Cheer. While the wins were impressive, she doesn't have a win at the longer distance of 1 1/8 miles. Now, neither did 3 other horses that won the distaff in the last 20 years, but they were all tested at the longer distance. Not this horse. She has never gone the longer distance. Now, she's by Quality Road out of a Tapit mare, so you think she could get the distance. I just wish I wasn't asking that on Breeders' Cup Eve. Her top buyer is a 92. She's going to need to improve to be competitive, but she's lightly raced and has room for that improvement. Also, she gets a bit of a weight break. In terms of running style, she's going to want to be close to the leader. Very talented filly who's on my radar. Not one of my top contenders, but high on my list. The number 4 horse is Scylla, a 5-year-old filly by Tapit trained by Bill Mott, ridden by Junior Alvarado. This is a winning team. 15 starts, 5 wins, 5 places, and 3 shows. You have to respect this filly hitting the board 13 out of the 15 times. But for me, she's a bit light on the angles for the distaff. She's got a win at this distance, but it was back in 2024 in the Fleur-de-Lis, and her buyer that day was only an 87. She does not have a Grade 1 win, and in her 6 Grade 1 races, she's only been on the board 68% of the time. Her prep race was the G1 Spencer, and she finished 3rd behind Gin and Nitrogen, both in this race. Her top performance this year was the 7 furlong Bed of Roses, where she finished 2nd with a 97 buyer. Unfortunately talented filly, but not high on my list. The number 5 horse is Scottish Lassie, a 3-year-old trained by Jorge Abreu and will be ridden by Joel Rosario. 7 starts with 2 wins and 3 shows. This is a 3-year-old filly, not hitting very many angles, But my personal opinion is you gotta keep her on your radar. She does have a win in the Grade 1 Coaching Club American Oaks, meaning she gets the class and the distance angle. But where she's lacking is the consistency, only hitting the board 60% of the time in her Grade 1 company. And we saw that lack of consistency in her prep race performance in the G1 Cotillion. She finished 4th behind Clicquot and Dry Powder, both in this race. Now, she came out of post position 1 that day. She didn't really get near the leaders as she likes. She trailed in the back of the pack and only earned an 89 buyer. Her performance in the Coaching Club of American Oaks, that was strong. She earned a 99 buyer, although it was a field of 4. Her good performance, her speed, and I would say her strong performance in last year's Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, that puts her on my radar. Remember that Breeders' Cup here at Del Mar. And she's got a super fast workout leading into this race. 59 and change for 5 furlongs on October 18th. That is speedy. Hey, Scottish Lassie, you got my attention with that bullet workout, and I know you could get around the track. For me personally, she is a top contender. Now, before we move on to the next horse, if you are finding this information useful, make sure you hit like and hit subscribe. I've got much more Breeders' Cup coverage, and where I won't have videos, I will try to have written blogs on my website, so write my website down, www.trifectaandextra.com. And then after Breeders' Cup, we are on the road to the Kentucky Derby again. The number 6 horse is Alice Verite, a 5-year-old filly from Japan trained by Nakataki and ridden by Kyle Frey. 25 starts with 4 wins, 7 places, and 4 shows. Now, although she did participate in last year's Distaff, finishing 4th, she's really a turf horse, with all of her other starts coming on the turf. Now, she meets this distance angle with 4 wins at 1 1/8 or longer. 3 were 1 1/4, but all were on the turf. 1 was her maiden win in 2022, 2 were stakes race, and 1 was a Grade 3. She's only had 2 Grade 1 entries. The Distaff last year, where she came in 4th with a 90 buyer, and the other one was the Victoria Mile in Japan, where she finished 5th. So she doesn't get the class angles. Her prep race was a G3 race in Japan, and she finished 8th. Unfortunately, not hitting very many angles for me, so not high on my list. The number 7 horse is Jinjin, a 4-year-old trained by Brendan Walsh and will be ridden by Luis Saez. 13 starts, 4 wins, 3 places, and 2 shows. Her last 4 starts under Brendan Walsh have been some of her best, including her prep race, the G1 Spinster, this distance at Keeneland, where she won over Torpedo Anna, Nitrogen, and Scylla. The latter 2 are in this race. Now, the Spinster is a key prep race for the Breeders' Cup Distaff, so she gets the prep angle of winning in a G1 prep. Out of the 5 tries, she's had 2 wins at the 1 1/8 distance, the Spinster and a stakes race at Aqueduct in 2024 over a muddy track. Now, she's been in 2 Grade 1 races, the Kentucky Oaks, where she finished 12th, and the Spinster, so 50% of the time in the money in Grade 1. A fair number of the angles, but they all seem to lead back to her performance in the Spinster. She also registered a buyer in the mid-90s, which puts her in the mix of some of the top horses in this race. What gives me pause, though, is she really likes to press the lead, and she's going to try to do so with Seismic Beauty, potentially creating a fast-paced race. She needs to be close to the lead. That's when she performs the best. Will she be able to hang on? Also, 2 of her biggest races were at Keeneland, so can she have those performances at another track? Lots of questions for me, but if she continues to improve, she should really be respected. The number 8 horse is Seismic Beauty, a 4-year-old filly trained by Bob Baffert, who is a top contender in this field. She'll be ridden by Juan Hernandez. 7 starts with 4 wins, 2 places in 1 show, 100% on the board, and also hitting all those angles. She has a win at the longer distance, the Grade 2 Santa Margarita, a gate to wire winner by, get this, 5 lengths, earning a 104 buyer. She also has a Grade 1 win, her one and only Grade 1 race, her prep race, the Clicquot Hirsch, here at Del Mar, so we know she could get around this track, a mile and a 16th. Also, gate to wire in that race and earned a 110 buyer. That means she won her prep at Grade 1 race. Her 2 buyers above 100, best in the field. Now, a couple things I want to note. 1, she only wins going gate to wire. So we need to make sure she gets out of the gate well in order for her to get into position. Also, she's a little light on the class, only 1 Grade 1 race, but she proved she was the best that day. And finally, she hasn't raced in 91 days. That's longer than most of the US runners. But her workouts, super fast, 59 and change for 5 furlongs, a minute 12 for 6 furlongs. For me personally, I have to consider her a top contender. And hi to all my racehorse buddies. The number 9 horse is Majestic Oops, a 5-year-old filly trained by Dan Ward who will be ridden by Umberto Rispoli. She is the most experienced horse in the field with 32 starts, 7 wins, 11 places in 4 shows. Unfortunately, she's not really high on my list as she's not really hitting the angles. She's tried the mile and an 8th distance twice, not one. Also, she doesn't really match the class angle. Only 1 Grade 1 race, the Ballerina in Saratoga in August, and came in 3rd. So she misses out on a Grade 1 win. In fact, she has no graded stakes wins. She has a buyer in the mid-90s, but it was in the G3 Molly Pitchard going a mile and a 16th. Just not high on my list. The number 10 horse is Gunsong, a 4-year-old trained by Mark Henning who will be ridden by Tyler Gaffalione. 16 starts with 5 wins, 5 places in 2 shows. So this is a talented filly by Gunrunner who's filled out the exacta 10 times. But for this race, she's a bit light on the angles. She does have 2 wins at the mile and an 8th distance. One was the Black Eyed Susan last year, and the other was her prep race, which was a Grade 2 race. She has no Grade 1 wins, only participating in 2 Grade 1 races, and both of those were last year, and only hitting the board once. So she does miss out on that class angle. Also, her buyers are really light compared to the other contenders. For me, she is not top on my list. The number 11 horse is Dry Powder, a 3-year-old filly trained by Chad Summers who will be ridden by Antonio Frezu. 6 starts, 2 wins, 3 places in 1 show. And you have to respect the horse that always makes it to the board. Now, she came in 2nd in her prep race, the G1 Cotillion, where she gave Clicquot a run for her money. So she gets the angle of a win or a place in a G1 prep. Now, what I really liked about that race was she was on or near the lead for most of that race, pressing the pace. And she didn't want to give up without a fight. And I love that fighting spirit. She has 2 Grade 1 entries, the Coaching Club of American Oaks and the Cotillion. And she came in 3rd and 2nd, respectively, in those races. So 100% of the time, she is in the money in Grade 1 races, but she's missing that win. And she's also missing a win at the mile and an 8th distance. Now, she competed in the Coaching Club American Oaks this distance, but that day was not her day. She broke out, she hit the gate, and she finished 3rd in a field of 4th. The one thing that also gives me pause is this is a horse that's going to want to be near the lead. And we're going to see lots of pace from Seismic Beauty. Will she burn out? She's a gun runner, and gun runners like that longer distance. She's got that fight in her, and she always manages to hit the board. But she's going to need to improve to take on Seismic Beauty, Dorth Vader, Nitrogen, and others. The number 12 horse is Dorth Vader, a 5-year-old filly trained by George Weaver, who'll be ridden by Johnny Velasquez. 17 starts, 5 wins, 3 places in 1 show. Now, we've seen lots of improvement from this filly in her last 3 starts. She's tried the 1.125 distance 3 times, twice in her last 3 starts, resulting in a win in the G1 Ogden Phipps on a sloppy track at Saratoga, and then a place in the G1 Personal Ensign, also in Saratoga, where she lost by a nose to the incredible Torpedo Anna. So we know she could get the distance, and that 2nd place finish in the Personal Ensign gives her the angle of a winner of place in a Grade 1 prep. And she also has a speed rating of 100, 2nd top in this field. The only angle she's missing is consistency, the percent in the money in Grade 1 races. It's only 42%. She's tried Grade 1 7 times and have come in the money 3 times, so some spotty performances. But like I said, man, she has really been improving in her last 3 races, and a bullet workout on October 17th. Now, her running style, she likes to be a length to 2 lengths off the leader at the half pole. Now, being that close, she may not need to go wide, but we saw her go wide in the Ogden Phipps and win the race. So for me, top contender. The number 13 horse is Regaled, a 4-year-old trained by Whit Beckman, who'll be ridden by Joseph Ramos. 17 starts, 4 wins in 2 places, and 3 shows. Now, her last 3 starts, she's been trained by Whit Beckman, and these are some of her best efforts to date. She has run this distance 4 times, 1 win, so she gets that angle, and that win came in her prep race, the Grade 3 Delaware Handicap, 1.125 on a sloppy track at Delaware, winning with a 94 buyer. Now, what I don't like about that, it's a Grade 3 and not a Grade 1, and also a sloppy track. Now, she misses the class angle altogether. No Grade 1 experience. But even after all this, I want you to keep her on your radar. Her late pace, blazing hot, and if the pace heats up, you may see her flying in late. Also, she has the ability to go wide and finish well. For all of that, plus her recent buyer in the mid-90s, me personally, I would consider her for underneath. Now it's your turn. Drop me a comment below. Who do you really like in the Breeders' Cup Distaff? Hit like and hit subscribe. I've got more Breeders' Cup coverage coming, and then after that, we are accelerating down the road to the Kentucky Derby. I hope you all find your Breeders' Cup winners. Cheers!